Getaway Car by Taylor Swift. Today I'm looking at Getaway Car from the Reputation album. I've chosen this song because it's another extended metaphor that I'd like to look at. The whole song basically is an extended metaphor. It's a song written by Taylor and Jack Antonoff. And as usual with a song like this, there are ideas about who the song is actually referring to. And once again, I'm not really going to go into that. I know what the general consensus is, but I don't really think it's important for understanding the song. It really could be referring to any three people. I say three people because there are three characters in this song. There's the narrator, a woman who is in a relationship with one man, but begins a relationship with a second man, basically in order to escape the first, and that's what the getaway is about. So I think regardless of who the particular figures in the song are, the song is about this situation of escaping one relationship by beginning another. And of course the whole story is told in terms of a getaway car, robberies, criminality, and so on. So let's take a look at Getaway Car by Taylor Swift.
No, nothing good starts in a getaway car.
It was the best of times, the worst of crimes. I struck a match and blew your mind, but I didn't mean it, and you didn't see it.
The song begins with that line that's spoken through a vocoder. No, nothing good starts in a getaway car. The interesting thing about that is that the getaway car is not something that enters into the story later on. Taylor is describing this whole process, this whole relationship that she enters into with this new man as itself a getaway car. It starts in and as a getaway car. That's its purpose. Its purpose is to help her to get away from this other relationship. In the first verse, she starts with, "It was the best of times, the worst of crimes." This is clearly a nod to A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens, which opens with the lines, "It was the best of times, it was the worst of times." One interesting thing about that is in A Tale of Two Cities, Sidney Carton is actually a bit of a low life, but he makes this noble gesture of taking the place of Charles Darnay at the guillotine. So he's an unscrupulous man, but he makes this noble gesture at the end, which kind of sanctifies him. And I think that actually contrasts with the behaviour of the characters in this song. So Taylor replaces it with, "It was the best of times, the worst of crimes." So she acknowledges as the narrator that what she's about to do is a kind of crime. There's also a bit of replacement going on here, whereas Sidney Carter replaces Charles Darnay, here the second lover replaces the first. But right at the beginning we're being introduced to this kind of crime imagery. Obviously, first of all, the getaway car, but then the explicit introduction of the word crimes. So she's setting up the metaphor right at the beginning. "I struck a match and blew your mind." That brings to mind the lighting of a fuse to cause an explosion, and she's combining that with the idea of blowing someone's mind. So in some way, she blew the mind of this other person. The narrator here is talking to the second lover, the man that she's going to run away with. She struck a match and blew his mind. Then she adds, "But I didn't mean it and you didn't see it." So although she's acknowledging a crime here, there's a sense in which this was a desperate act. It becomes clear through the song that she doesn't really want to hurt this other person, but that she acts out of desperation. So she struck the match and as a result blew his mind. "And you," she says, "you didn't see it." The other man didn't know what was going on. He didn't know what her motivations were.
No, nothing good starts in a getaway car.
It was the best of times, the worst of crimes. I struck a match and blew your mind, but I didn't mean it, and you didn't see it. ties were black, the lies were white, in shades of grey and candlelight. I wanted wanted to leave him. I needed a reason.
Then she sets the scene. The ties were black, the lies were white. So we get the idea that she's at a formal event somewhere, a black tie event. And it's one of those occasions when people are mingling, drinking cocktails, and telling little white lies to each other. Just those social sweeteners that people use in social settings. In shades of grey in candlelight. It's interesting that she's drawing on colour here, although it's very stark colour. We've got black, we've got white, and then we've got grey. So she's telling us that what's happening here isn't completely black, and it certainly isn't white. It's somewhere in the middle. It's grey. We're in a grey area here. The candlelight, I guess, refers to a kind of dimly lit scene. Whether that refers to the actual physical setting or whether it refers to the fact that what's taking place here is really taking place in a low light setting so that people can't really see what's going on. Maybe that this other man can't quite see what's going on. There are shadows flickering. Things can't be seen clearly in candlelight. And then she explains what's going on here. I wanted to leave him. I needed a reason. So she wants to get out of a relationship with someone. She needs a reason to get out. And what she's telling her new lover is that she used him as the reason to get out. She used him as an escape mechanism. She used him as a getaway car. So to all appearances, this was the best of times. Out there in high society, living it up, but at the same time, she commits what she acknowledges is the worst of crimes, using someone in this way, even though she was desperate.
The ties were black, the lies were white. In shades of grey in candlelight, I wanted to leave him. I needed a reason. X marks the spot where we fell apart. He poisoned the well, I was lying to myself. I knew it from the first old-fashioned, we were cursed. We never had a shotgun shot in the dark.
X marks the spot where we fell apart. X usually marks the spot where the treasure is found. But here it marks the spot where things fell apart. So she's doing a similar thing here. She's switching the meaning of something. Not it was the best of times, it was the worst of times, but the best of times and the worst of crimes. And here she's changing the X, which normally marks the spot where treasure is found. She's using this now to indicate the place where things fell apart, where the treasure was lost. And the reason for this, he poisoned the well. So this man that she was with had poisoned the well. He's done something to corrupt this relationship. And then she admits her role in this, that she was lying to herself. She was lying to herself about this relationship. And in fact, she knew from the start, she knew from the first old-fashioned that this relationship was cursed. This is a theme that recurs in Taylor's writing, that she gets into relationships, or her characters get into relationships which are doomed from the start. And she knows from the start that they're doomed. But she falls into these relationships anyway. There's something about that situation that always draws her in, sucks her in. She goes in despite the dangers, despite all the red flags. She seems to find these situations irresistible. Interesting thing about the old-fashioned, the choice of the old-fashioned as the cocktail here, is that it seems to be the classical cocktail, the very first cocktail perhaps. And it kind of indicates the level of society that we're talking about here. Apparently Harry S. Truman liked an old-fashioned from time to time. James Bond, in the book version of Live and Let Die, orders an old-fashioned as his cocktail. So again, we have that kind of image of sophistication. And I haven't seen it, but apparently the character Don Draper in the series Mad Men loves an old-fashioned. So we can see the world that she's painting here, the world in which these people are moving. Black ties, white lies, old-fashioned cocktails. And then we never had a shotgun shot in the dark. Again, pointing out that this relationship could never work. We use the phrase shot in the dark to indicate that we're going to take a chance. We're going to risk it. Despite the fact that we have little chance of it succeeding, we're going to take a shot in the dark anyway. A shot with a shotgun, you'd think they couldn't miss, they'd hit something, but they never had a chance.
X marks the spot where we fell apart. He poisoned the well, I was lying to myself. I knew it from the first old-fashioned, we were cursed. We never had a shotgun shot in the dark. You were driving the getaway car, we were flying, but we never get far. Don't pretend it's such a mystery. Think about the place where you first met me.
So now here she is again addressing the new lover. You were driving the getaway car, so he's in control now of this situation. They're running away from the crime scene because it's a getaway car. And she challenges him at this point. Don't pretend it's such a mystery. Think about the place where you first met me. So although he may have been in the dark, he may not have fully understood what was going on, well, the narrator here is challenging him a little bit. Look, you knew where we were. You knew what kind of society we were mixing in. You knew and you know the kinds of things that happen in that social group. So don't pretend that this is something unusual, strange, a mystery.
You were driving the getaway car, we were flying, but we never get far. Don't pretend it's such a mystery. Think about the place where you first met me. Riding in a getaway car, there were sirens in the beat of your heart. Should've known I'd be the first to leave. Think about the place where you first met me. In a getaway car, no, they never get far. No, nothing good starts in a getaway car.
There were sirens in the beat of your heart. I take it here that sirens refers to warnings, danger. His heart was warning him, and he should have known that she'd be the first to leave. So I think she's foreshadowing here what happens later in the song, that she leaves this new lover too. Again, think about the place where you first met me, in a getaway car. Now she's referring to the place itself as a getaway car. That whole situation that she set up was a getaway car. And that's the situation in which they met. That's what she always meant to do. And she also knew that this new relationship wouldn't go anywhere. You never get anywhere in a getaway car. It couldn't possibly have been a good thing, and it wasn't going anywhere. And she's challenging her new lover at this point, suggesting to him that he should have known this. And maybe the reference to sirens there, maybe that's also a reference to the Greek mythological figures in the story of the Odyssey. Odysseus and his crew sail past the island where the sirens live, these kind of mermaid-type creatures who sing this beautiful song and lure men in. They lure the ships to the rocks to catch the men. And Odysseus has his men plug their ears with wax and tie him up to the mast so that he can hear the song. So maybe there's something about that too. Maybe the sirens in the beat of his heart, maybe he was being lured by the siren song. That was the narrator.
Riding in a getaway car, there were sirens in the beat of your heart. Should've known I'd be the first to leave. Think about the place where you first met me. In a getaway car, no, they never get far. No, nothing good starts in a getaway car. The great escape, the prison break, the light of freedom on my face, but you weren't thinking. He was running after us, I was screaming, go, go, go. But with three of us, honey, it's a sideshow. And a circus ain't a love story. And now we're both sorry. We're both sorry.
And so the metaphor continues here. It was the great escape, the prison break, the light of freedom on my face. She wanted to get out of this relationship, and she took the opportunity that was presented to her. You, she says to her new lover, you weren't thinking. I don't think thought was playing much of a role here. And I was just drinking, which was itself a form of escape, I suppose. And now the three characters act together. The first lover is running after them and she's screaming at her new man, go, go, go. And this she describes as a sideshow. It could only be a sideshow, a circus. Nobody could take this seriously. Nobody could think that this was a true love story. So she introduces a new metaphor here in the midst of this extended metaphor, and that's the metaphor of the sideshow or the circus. And then she says, and now we're both sorry. And in a quieter voice, we're both sorry, with a certain genuine sorrow in her voice. This is not something that she wanted to do to this man. She didn't want to hurt him. He's sorry for obvious reasons, because she's going to leave him in a minute, as we'll see. But she's sorry because she knows she's used him and she's hurt him. Assuming that Taylor is, of course, talking about a situation in which she really found herself at some point, she is again here being very confessional and self-revealing. But of course she wraps this up in a story that she's telling us, and we can watch this story, we can listen to this story without necessarily thinking that this is her and that this is this man and this is that man. We don't have to do that to enjoy the story. We don't even have to think that it's Taylor herself that she's talking about here. It could be fictional. And she leaves herself this kind of escape route in the song, as I think she does in many songs, so that she can always say, it wasn't about me. And I think it's always true that it's never entirely about her. Of course, she draws on her own experiences, her own emotions, but when she commits this to song, it assumes a more universal quality.
Great escape, the prison break, the light of freedom on my face, but you weren't thinking, and I was just drinking. Well, he was running after us, I was screaming, go, go, go. But with three of us, honey, it's a sideshow, and a circus ain't a love story, and now we're both sorry. We're both sorry. X marks the spot where we fell apart. He poisoned the well, every man for himself. I knew it from the first, old-fashioned, we were cursed. It hit you like a shotgun shot to the heart.
Here she switches up the pre-chorus a little bit. X marks the spot, still, where we fell apart. He poisoned the well, still. But now she adds every man for himself. So now it's a kind of free-for-all. They're not in this together anymore. This is where her new relationship begins to fall apart, where she begins to break away from the man that she's escaped with. Every man for himself. I knew it from the first old-fashioned, we were cursed. It hit you like a shotgun shot to the heart. So here I think the cursed refers to this second relationship, because now she says to her new lover, as she's leaving, it hit you like a shotgun to the heart. This time it didn't miss. So even though she's saying to him that he must have known what was going on, he must have known what this was about, nevertheless, it really hurt him. And she's acknowledging that here.
X marks the spot where we fell apart. He poisoned the well, every man for himself. I knew it from the first, old-fashioned, we were cursed. It hit you like a shotgun shot to the heart. You were driving the getaway car, we were flying, but we never get far. Don't pretend it's such a mystery. Think about the place where you first met me. Riding in a getaway car, there were sirens in the beat of your heart. Should've known I'd be the first to leave. Think about the place where you first met me. In a getaway car, no, they never get far. No, nothing good starts in a getaway car. We were jet set, Bonnie and Clyde, until I switched to the other side, to the other side. It's no surprise I turned you in, 'cause us traitors never win.
We were jet set, Bonnie and Clyde. Obvious reference here. I think we kind of saw that coming. I think we could see something of Bonnie and Clyde in what was happening here, that they were on a kind of crime spree. But again, jet set, this is the social set that we're talking about. Until I switched to the other side, to the other side. I think this has multiple meanings. We'll see that I think it has a physical meaning in terms of the story that the song is telling, but also clearly it's about her abandoning him at this point. Up to this point, they've been working together, she and her new lover. But now it's every man for himself. She's betrayed him. She's switched sides. She's a traitor. It's no surprise. Again, she says to him, it's no surprise I turned you in, because traitors never win. She's including him here in this role as traitor. She's saying to him, look, you were a traitor too. You helped me betray my other lover. You know that. You were a traitor too. And if I'm going to do that to him, surely you know I'm going to do it to you as well. We never win, meaning he certainly hasn't won, and ultimately admitting to herself that she doesn't really win anything here, although perhaps she thinks it's enough that she wins her freedom, even though it costs her and this other lover deeply.
We were jet set, Bonnie and Clyde, until I switched to the other side, to the other side. It's no surprise I turned you in, 'cause us traitors never win. I'm in a getaway car. I left you in the motel bar, put the money in a bag and I stole the keys. That was the last time you ever saw me.
So now it's I'm in a getaway car, not we're in a getaway car. And I think this is also the kind of physical meaning of switching sides. She's no longer in the passenger side of the car. She's in the driver's side. She's now driving. She's now in control. So she left this new man. She took the money, took the car, and never saw him again.
I'm in a getaway car. I left you in the motel bar, put the money in a bag and I stole the keys. That was the last time you ever saw me. Driving the getaway car, we were flying, but we never get far. Don't pretend it's such a mystery. Think about the place where you first met me. Riding in a getaway car, there were sirens in the beat of your heart. Should've known I'd be the first to leave. Think about the place where you first met me. In a getaway car, no, they never get far. No, nothing good starts in a getaway car. I was riding in a getaway car, I was crying. In a getaway car, I was dying. In a getaway car, said goodbye. In a getaway car, riding. In a getaway car, I was crying. In a getaway car, I was dying. In a getaway car, said goodbye. In a getaway car.
Just in that final iteration of the chorus, she adds, I was crying in a getaway car, I was dying in a getaway car, said goodbye in a getaway car. So she's expressing here the pain and the guilt that she feels over this situation. She was crying. This wasn't easy for her to do, but she felt that she had to do it. A little part of her dies doing this. This costs her too. And then said goodbye in a getaway car. So there's a certain sort of poignancy in the way she says that, in the way she delivers that. Said goodbye in a getaway car. Remember that that's from the album Reputation, and I think it fits in perfectly with the themes of that album. This is an album where she's facing head on, first of all, the things that other people have said about her, the accusations that they've thrown at her, and caricaturing those, turning those to her own favour, embracing them, taking to the extreme and throwing them back at her critics and at her audience. But there's also that element of confession in this album. We see it in some of the slower songs, like Delicate, for example. And we see it here, I think, in this song, where She's describing a situation that probably the Swifties, the fans, will know that she's referring to. They'll know who she's talking about here. But she's wrapping it in an extended metaphor and in an extended story. She's explaining what happened in this situation. She's revealing that for those who want to see it. But she's also protecting herself to some extent by making it a story. It's an interesting way for Taylor to both reveal and conceal, I think. And that's what she's doing here. In some of her later work, particularly on Tortured Poets Department, the conceal part's gone. She's just laying it all out there for everyone to see. I'm recording this video on October the 2nd, so the day before the release of Taylor's new album, The Life of a Showgirl. By the time you see this, a week or so will probably have passed. But I just wanted to let you know that I'm going to do something a little different next. The next series of videos will actually be, one after another, all of the tracks of the new album. Now, this is a little different for me because normally I'm picking songs that I particularly like or that I think have something useful to reveal about Taylor's art and her writing, her whole catalogue of work. And I haven't talked about songs that I didn't like particularly. I'm not here to level criticism particularly at anything that Taylor's done. I just want to talk about the things that I like. But with the new album, which obviously I haven't heard yet as I'm recording this is going to be different because I won't be choosing just the songs that I like on that album. I'm going to be looking at each of them. And so there may well be songs on there that I don't like, that I have some negative comments to make about. I don't know that, but it is possible, and I'm just forewarning you, I guess, that may be the case. But I thought it would be a good idea to do that. And I do reiterate again here that these are not reaction videos. I'm not sitting down listening to a song for the first time and reacting to it for you. I'm taking my time with these songs. I'm looking at them in some depth, trying to understand them. And I'll be doing that with the new songs as well. It may be a little bit less in depth because I won't necessarily have had the time to research the songs as deeply, to come to know them as well as I do these other songs. Nevertheless, that's what I'm going to do from next week. By the time you see that video, the album will have been out for a couple of weeks, so I'm not trying to be part of the mad rush that will happen at the time of the release. A little bit of time will have passed and maybe things will have quietened down a little, settled down a little. So I look forward to going through that album with you song by song in some depth, in some detail. And then probably at the end of that series, I will make a video in which I make some general comments about the album and give you my feelings about it and my response to the album as a whole. Let's hope it's a good one.